Hey y'all, secrets. In this box, hidden beneath my hands, I have the top 10 items of makeup that I feel like I've worn the most this summer so far, with the exception of a couple of my base products that I wear all the time, like my main concealer and my green color corrector. I am going to touch on those as I go through the video, so if you don't know what those are already for me, because you haven't watched me before, maybe you'll know by the end of this video. But I collected 10 things in this box that are the things that I have been reaching for instead of other things in their same category. So like which lip gloss have I been using more than any other lip gloss, which lipstick, etc., etc. And some of them are kind of surprising to me. There are a couple of things in here that I realized when I was going through my makeup are definitely in the top 10, but I maybe wouldn't have thought of them if I was trying to come up with this list without actually looking at my makeup. So maybe some of them will be surprises to you as well. If this is your first time to my channel, then hello, I'm glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things. I love makeup. I really like using the same thing over and over again. I like to pay attention to my habits and learn what I love and just focus on that so that I'm not tempted to buy way too much stuff that I'll never use. And if that sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this mysterious video. I have the box over here off camera. I think I'm just going to reveal the items one by one to you rather than showing them all to you at once. Should we do that thing where we go in the order in which you put stuff on your face? Let's do that. So there are two things together that are the first two, and these will probably not come as a surprise if you have been watching my Get Ready With Me content. If you watch me put makeup on my face at all over the first part of this summer, then you'll probably have seen me use these products in tandem. So I have a number of glowy base products because I really like to review this kind of thing, and a number of them have also come my way in PR, but these are the two that I've been using over and over and over again, and I've pretty much been eschewing all of my other ones in favor of these. I like putting the Le Beige from Chanel, which is like a pretty liquidy one, all over my face. It's liquidy, it's watery, and it's much paler in color. So it's more of like a neutral base for me. And even though the glow is pretty intense, it tends to kind of soak in and blend into my skin rather than sitting on top of my skin. The Auric product is much thicker. It's kind of like a second skin. And this shade, which is the original Morganite, the first version of Morganite, is too dark and too peach for me to put all over my face without it causing kind of like a line of demarcation between my neck and my chin or my jawline. So I tend to put the Chanel one, which is sheerer and more pale, all over my face, and then I put Auric just over my cheeks and nose, and sometimes a little bit on my Cupid's bow, and maybe a tiny dot of it on my chin. So I'm always using them in combination. Why don't I just use the Chanel one? Because I love the super satiny blurring glow from the Auric one. And I use the Chanel one to just kind of like cover the parts of my face where I don't want to put something that's this substantial and, you know, slightly dark and slightly pink for me. I am delighted that they've reformulated Morganite to be more pale and more neutral. I'm so excited that this new shade of Morganite, which looks absolutely perfect to me in the pictures, is out there waiting for me someday. Right now I have enough illuminators. I don't feel like I need to, run out and buy it, but I'm really, really happy to see it. So these are the first of my top two. I have worn them together almost every day this summer. All right, here's the next one. This I've actually only had for something like a month, so it might be pushing it to say that it's one of the most worn, but since I started using it, I haven't missed a day. Like, I've used it absolutely every single day. I've integrated it into my daily base makeup routine. And I have been wearing it instead of some of my other base products. It's been the one that I always use. And I feel like I've possibly used more of it than I have used of some of my color cosmetics because it's base, so I wear it every day. So that's the justification that I used to include it in this video. It's a Purito product. It's the BB cream from Purito. It's in the shade light beige, which, isn't very light. It's too dark for me. I mix it in with a green color corrector and with a very, very pale concealer to make it work. But it has that kind of gray tone that works so well to blend in with other base products and works so well to neutralize redness. But the thing about it that makes it a hero product is how incredibly creamy and moisturizing it is, while still having pigment that conceals my blemishes, but without looking cakey or makeup-y. When I imagine a dream foundation product, when I imagine something that really provides some coverage, but is really lotiony and really nourishing feeling, this is what I imagine. So of course, I wish that the shade range was way, way broader than it is in every direction, but this one is at least light enough and neutral enough to work for me when I mix it in with other things, and I haven't stopped using it since I've gotten it. I'm almost exclusively mixing it with the Sephora Bright Future Green Color Corrector and the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer in the shade Pearl. The concealer is a bit light for me, so the combination of all three together, it's pretty much a perfect match for my skin. And both of these are very serum-y, so it's almost as though they mix into this as if they were mix in drops. You know what I mean? Like, this is what is providing the consistency for what goes on my face and the neutral base. And then these together are just changing the color to make it lighter and to make it a little bit green so that it's more color correcting on my redness. And that allows me to put a thinner layer on my face and still get the result that I want. So yeah, in spite of the fact that it's pretty new to me, I've put this on my face possibly more than almost anything else that I have during the first part of this summer. This is another kind of base product. I mean, it's a brow product, but I almost never go a day without doing my brows. I mean, today, for example, I'm just wearing the mixture of base product that I just showed you and described to you. And I have wax in my brows and a little mascara, and that's it. Maybe a little lip gloss. This is just to say that I either have absolutely no makeup on my face, or a little bit of foundation and brows, or foundation, brows, and a whole bunch of other things. So brows are just kind of a baseline for me. This is the NYX Brow Glue. I did apply this for the first time in a live, and I gave it a brief review then, and I think I've circled back a time or two. I don't like it all that much. It works really well, but it has this sort of plasticky feeling. It's very goopy. It reminds me of rubber cement. I think it might be rubber cement. I think it might literally just be rubber cement in a tube. And, it does hold my brows in place, but I don't like it enough to want to buy it again. That's what I'll say. The thing is, though, it's so convenient. It's so convenient, and I've just reached for it over and over and over again on days when I just don't feel like getting a spoolie, getting out my spray and my soap and, doing the whole soap brows thing. I've just been throwing this into my brows. I think I've used it possibly more than soap brows, even though I like the product less and I like the effect less. I've used it because it has that convenience factor. And so when I was going through my makeup, to my surprise, when I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely one of my most worn items, especially because I traveled. I went traveling for 10 days last month, and I didn't take my soap brows kit with me, but I took this with me and I wore it every day. So in spite of myself and in spite of my lukewarm feelings about it, I've been getting a ton of use from this product. And in case you haven't seen it before, this is what it looks like. It's kind of stretchy and stringy and gooey, and it's got this little spoolie, little brow spoolie. It's perfectly fine. And my assiduous use of it makes me kind of want to find like a better brow gel, because I realize that I like the convenience of it, and it would be nice to have a quicker and simpler alternative to soap brows to sometimes use. The little box in which I keep the mascaras that I'm testing and using is relatively full right now, simply because of YouTube reviews. I'm not a person who likes to have a huge arsenal of mascara. I usually just have one or maybe two that I'm wearing. It's kind of out of hand right now, and I'm probably actually going to do a massive declutter and kind of start over again with mascara soon. But there have been a lot of mascaras that have come my way that I've wanted to test, and I've just been testing them all at once. It's been madness. Strangely, this is the one that I have used the most by far, by absolute far. It's the Rimmel London Lash Accelerator. And the reason that I say strangely it's the one I've used the most is because it's kind of a mild, wispy lash mascara. It's not the icky, sticky, ooey gooey, splinky, inky lash that I always love and that I profess to always be seeking. It's weird. It's like It's a sort of a thin, basic, short bristle wand. The formula is relatively buildable, especially if you let it dry between coats. You know, it does provide a little bit of length, and it doesn't make my lashes into just like 3 spikes that are all sticking together. It's balanced, it's mild, and it's got that sort of like feminine wispiness instead of the like gunky spikiness, which I think of as more of like a bold and masculine thing. And I've found that for an everyday wear mascara, it suits me just fine and it's dependable, and I've just ended up reaching for it. Maybe I'm becoming a little more of a lash minimalist than I used to be. The only thing about this is that it's not waterproof in the least, and it's not water resistant in the least. If I cry or if my eyes water, it bleeds and it gets in my eyes and it can kind of sting a little bit. So that's the only thing that sometimes, you know, gives me pause with this. But I think I've got about 10 mascaras going right now, and I've worn this one almost every day for the last couple of months. Okay, we're getting into the more fun stuff, the lip products. I'm actually going to bring them all out at once. No, am I? No, I'll keep you in suspense. I'm going to bring them out one at a time. Let's do this one. I'm excited to talk about this one. So this is the YSL Slim Glow Matte Lipstick in the shade 214. This came in PR a long time ago. Like it was last year. It was like the fall of last year or something. And I liked it at the time, but recently I've worn it a couple of times and I've re-fallen in love with it, as they say. The packaging is very classy. The color is really lovely. It's this sort of dusky, bricky red. On me, because I'm so pale, it definitely reads as a red. You know what I mean? It looks just like a straight red lipstick, but it has that softness because of this bricky color, and also because the formula is kind of waxy. Slim Glow Matte is a weird name. Like it's a weird claim. It's saying that it's a glow, but it's matte, and glow and matte are usually opposite of each other. What they mean by that, or I think that like the grounds on which they're calling it that, is that it's kind of this waxy, semi-sheer, almost balmy formula. Then it has the matte quality that waxes can sometimes have, rather than being like a super glossy, slippy, shiny thing. But the waxiness also makes it kind of nourishing. And that formula just, it turns out that it really suits me. I really love the effect. I like wearing it. And I also really like applying it. I like how it feels to apply it. And I like how it feels to wear it on my lips. So I've been wearing this every time I want a red lip lately. And in fact, my desire to wear it specifically has been so strong that it's caused me to wear a red lip on days when I maybe otherwise wouldn't, because I wanted to wear it so much. It's definitely my most worn bold lip of the summer. Let's talk about my other somewhat bold choice. I discovered this recently when I was duping the vibes of makeup that I want to buy but am not going to buy. There's a Westman Atelier, kind of like a gloss balm hybrid, or like liquid lip balm. It's come out recently, and one of them is in this color, and I was very attracted to the product shots. So I dug this out of the back of my collection, hadn't worn it in forever, and started wearing it, and again, I re-fell in love with it. Over the past several weeks with this product, of wearing it a lot, building looks around it, always wanting to wear it, over those past couple of weeks, I've come to really appreciate how a coral gloss, a gloss that has this bright of color, in a really good formula, one that's semi-sheer enough to work for me, can really light up a look. Add something to the look, add that brightness that color can add, but without overwhelming your face or overwhelming the rest of the makeup on your face or competing with the rest of the makeup on your face. I really, really love this gloss. I think other formulas of gloss that have, you know, a color like this in the range are probably just as awesome. This is just the only one that I have. It's the only lip gloss that I have that's remotely this color, and it's a very beautiful formula, and the color and the formula are really working in tandem to make a lip product that I love to wear in this product. So especially over the past, well, no, not just especially, simply because of the way that I've worn it over the past month or so, it has become one of my most worn lip products this summer so far. So those are the two bolder lips that I've been into, and I also have two much less bold lips that I've been into. I reviewed the Glossier Ultra Lip right when it first came out, and this shade, the shade Lucite, is the one that shot to the top of my list as my absolute favorite in this formula and one of my favorite lip products to wear. So I'm building up the swatch so that you can see it, but it doesn't look like this on my lips because my lips are much more pigmented than my arm. It's very sheer, it's semi-sheer. It's got a little bit of milkiness to it, but not so much that it sits funny on the lips. I find that quite sheer lip products that have too much milkiness can look very weird. It has enough pigment, though, that it softens and brightens or lightens the color of my natural lips. And I love that. I love the sort of pale lip color, but in something so nourishing and so easy to wear and so foolproof and effortless. It's kind of a unicorn. I've had other things sort of come close, but nothing that works as well or looks as good as the Glossier Ultra Lip in Lucite. So I started wearing it pretty much nonstop after that review. And then I went on the aforementioned trip. I took this with me and it was the only lip product that I wore. I wore it every day for those 10 days. And then I've continued to wear it a good bit since I've gotten home. It's definitely one of the standout lip products, if not one of the standout products of the summer for me. And here's the last of the 4 lip products that I have in this video. It's the Tower 28 Jelly Gloss in the shade Magic. I bought myself 2 of these Tower 28 glosses back in the spring, and the other one, Oat, is pretty nice. I've worn it some, but this one I've used up, I think, more than half of it. I've worn it a lot. It's just a clear gloss with gold glitter. When I bought this, I expected to be in love with the formula, obsessed with the formula because it had so many glowing reviews from so many people. I didn't end up being that obsessed with it, but it looks so good and it is so easy to apply and the packaging is so attractive and it's so of the moment and everything just points to me reaching for it all the time. And I do end up reaching for it all the time. I've used up really a lot of it since I got it. It's hard to see because it's all, stirred around in the tube right now. But when I stand the tube on end and it settles at a level like down here. Like I have truly gone through it. So yeah, it's not my favorite gloss in history, but it fits the bill in all of these really specific ways that none of my other makeup products do. So I've ended up wearing it probably of all of these 4 lip products. I've probably actually worn this the most of all of them this summer. Okay, lastly and scandalously, we have one powder product. You won't be surprised by this if you watched the video in which I talked about the fact that this was the only cheek product, the only blush that I brought with me when I went traveling for 10 days. But if you follow my career with any interest, then you might be surprised because you know how much I love cream cheeks. You might be surprised that this is one of my most worn makeup products of the summer. I do really love cream cheeks and I wear a bunch of different cheek products. I tend to use the breadth of my cheek product collection more than I do with my lip products. Like I'll reach for the same lip product over and over again, but every day when I get to the blush part of my makeup look, I'm like, ooh, what am I going to wear today? And I do a pretty good job of using all of my blushes and like rotating among my blushes. So even though this is my most worn blush, I perhaps haven't used it as much as I've used some of the other products in this video, but I have used it a lot. And it's because I have blemishes on my cheeks, like the sides of my cheeks. And there have been a lot of days this summer where I've put on my base, meticulously spot concealed my blemishes, powdered them down, finally gotten like an even skin with reduced redness, looking pretty glowy, pretty clear. And then I just don't want to put a cream cheek on because often when I apply a cream cheek and I get out of hand because I love blush draping, the application of the cream product ends up wiping some of the makeup off of those blemishes and I have to go back and reconceal them. And sometimes I don't feel like doing that. A number of times this summer, a great number of times, I haven't felt like doing that. And so I have wanted to reach for a powder product and I've ended up reaching for this. It's the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer in Sunrise Light. It's a very red toned bronzer, as they go, kind of like a peachy neutral bronzer. It really gives me that look where I spent a lot of time in the sun. The shiny side, which is this paler side, is really luminous. It doesn't look like it in the pan, but it's got these micro micas in it and it really glosses up my skin. But then it has this slightly deeper and more matte side that I can lean on if I want a subtler look. It's just perfect. It always looks perfect. It goes on flawlessly, builds beautifully, and it's been my default cheek when I don't feel like messing with creams, but I do want a little color on my cheeks. And as my default, it's ended up being used quite a lot this summer. So that's why I ended up including it in this video. Here's a close-up of the pan, although I don't know if you'll be able to see the gradient from light to dark and from shimmer to matte any better at this range. It's subtle, but it's definitely there, especially in person. And that's it. These are my top 10 most used makeup products of the summer so far, with the exception of, some of my other base products, my green color corrector and a couple of other concealers. But these have all been getting a ton of use from me. You can see that I've been doing a lot of simple, glowy base looks with evened out complexion, bushy brows, light wash of bronzy color on the cheeks, and then either a very glossy lip or a strong, bold lip, and then just mascara on the eyes. That is what I've been doing a lot this summer. That's probably been my most worn makeup look, with the lip product being the most variable aspect of it. This was really fun to do. When I sit down to do videos like this, I always learn something about myself and about my taste. And I find that the more I learn about myself and my taste, the more empowered I am to make good decisions going forward about what I buy and what I keep. That's one of the things that I enjoy about filming videos like this. And it's one of the reasons that I recommend doing little projects like this for yourself in your life, even if you don't have a YouTube channel, just to get to know yourself and your tastes better and kind of check in with the stuff that you've accumulated, what you have been making good use of and what you haven't. I hope that this was fun for you to watch. I'm very grateful to you for spending this time with me. And I really hope that you remember to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.